If you're about to use a function that you've never used, or maybe a function you haven't used in a long time, it's going to be helpful to use what's called the insert function button. Imagine this little scenario. You've heard of a function, you're not sure of its name maybe, but you know it can calculate the monthly payment on a loan, perhaps for a car or for a house, as we see with this raw data in columns B and column C. Let's imagine you don't know the name of the function. What's a good guess? Now, one approach here, and not the best, would be to go to the Formulas tab, click the drop arrow for Financial, and although the function is here, how long would it take you here to figure out which function it is? Not so fast. However, the Insert Function button, and you'll see it in two locations, is to the left of the formula bar right there. You'll also see it on the Formulas tab, the leftmost button. In either case, if you click this button, a dialog box opens. If you knew its name, of course, you would find it in the list here, and you could narrow it down, and let's say you don't know it, though. There's a panel at the top, search for a function, type a brief description of what you want to do, and then click Go. So I'm going to describe monthly payment, or monthly loan payment, or how about loan payment? Is that going to be good enough? Loan payment, click Go. Excel narrows down the list. Now, it might not narrow it down quite as much as you would want, but let's just pick the first one, is PMT, and the description below seems to be the match. Now, you can't always guarantee that what you've typed in is going to give you the first match right away, but looks like it worked in this case. Calculates the payment for a loan based on constant payments and a constant interest rate. That's what we're looking for. So if you have time, you can click Help on this function, get a help screen describing the function in more detail. Or if you think you're ready to go with this, maybe you do remember that you've used it a long time ago, let's just press OK. Excel will continue to lead us through the steps. And you may not be able to get every one of these perfectly right the first time, but the rate here represents a percent. Now, if you have data in the worksheet, you can simply click on it. So in this case here, the percentage rate is in cell B2, so you can click that. If you didn't have anything in the worksheet, you could be typing in a percent here too. Now, if you look at the fine print below, it does remind you that you need to divide this by either 4 if it's a quarterly payment, or 12, even though it doesn't say that explicitly, 12 for a monthly payment. And for those people who use this function only occasionally, that's what they often forget. You need to do that. NPER, we see the description of that, the number of periods of the loan, the payment periods. And in the example here, it's in cell B3, so we'll just click cell B3. The third choice here, the description, could be better. It's not in layman's terms exactly, but this is the amount of money that you're actually borrowing. And so in the example here, we'll just click on cell B4. And the answer is right here before we even click OK, but we'll click OK, and there's an answer. One slight variation on this could be if you want this to be expressed as a positive number so that you can plug it into the family budget or something like that, then the resulting function, and I'll double click to display it, if you want that to be displayed as a positive number, simply put a minus in front of PMT, or perhaps more pertinent, in front of the B4. So that's your monthly payment for borrowing $25,000, paying it off over 48 months when the interest rate is 3.5%. If you use this function every 6 months or so, that approach using insert function makes sense. If you start to use this with more frequency, you might just either write down the example or simply type it in manually, as a lot of proficient Excel users do after a while. And since the data that we're dealing with here is dealing with those 3 cells up there, if we had a similar need to calculate a monthly payment, principal and interest only, for a house, we could simply copy this formula, write word into this column, and then get an answer for what's our monthly payment, principal and interest only, for borrowing $200,000, 30 years, 3.75%. So just an example of how the insert function button can lead you along step by step and help you build a function that you're not too familiar with, or maybe you've never seen at all before.